Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folare. Today we'll be looking at changes in the police force because it's like an inevitable change. We're talking about the Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Kyari having been suspended, and he's been replaced by Deputy Commissioner of Police Tunji Disu. We sort of look at this, and there's been commentary ever since the change was announced. Many have lauded it because there's no doubt about the competence of the replacement, going by his own, enviable police record. But there are also those who are saying that, they were a bit surprised that why wasn't the second in command to Abba Kyari in the intelligence response team? Why wasn't he elevated? Whatever be the case, he is in there. And our guest this morning will be having Mr. Okechukwu Nwaguma, Executive Director, Rule of Law and Accountability Advocacy Center, RULAC. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Nwaguma.
Good morning, Ogayori. Good morning. Happy to be with you today.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Now, having established that, just stay with us. We'll have a report. Let's take this report and then we'll come to you.
Intelligence Response Team IRT is an elite squad of the Nigeria Police Force that has recorded some achievements in the way it solves some of the most difficult crime cases. The team gained popularity under the command of his former leader, DCP Abba Kyari, who is now being investigated for his alleged links with acclaimed fraudster Abbas Ramon, alias Hush Puppy. DCP Tunji Disu assumes leadership of the elite squad following DCP Kyari's suspension in the wake of a global scandal that is rubbing off on the squad itself. A former commissioner of the FCT Police Command, Lawrence Alobi, who spoke with us on phone, says the new IRT commander has to be above board.
As a police officer, begin to cultivate friendship with those who don't have criminal tendencies. And because as you dance, you don't see your back. You are being observed, and I'll bring the name of his family to shame. Let me mention that he's upright in his character. Whatever he does, he should not say he does it with the fear of God and the fear of shame.
The IRT head would also be required to develop rules of engagement that will govern the operations of the team.
You have mentioned that. Let me mention that he is meant now supervise, and should draw kind of rules of engagement for his men, and also he should see that it's not anything that will bring himself and the force to shame.
The task before DCP Disu is enormous, as the spotlight is now on his team, and how the IRT goes about its operations in the coming days might become the subject of intense scrutiny. Siphon Asian, TVC News, Abuja.
Thanks to Siphon Asian there. And coming back to you, Mr. Nwaguma, as I was saying, I don't think there's any doubt among stakeholders about the competency of Mr. Disu. That is not in question at all. But give me your thoughts. There are those who are saying, among other things, that he might that the whole team of Mr. Kyari should have been disbanded, and then Mr. Disu form his own team. Give me your thoughts on that idea.
Thank you, Oga. Good morning.
Yori, please.
And good morning, listeners. Yes, I know DCP Disu when he was the commander of RRS in Lagos, and I followed closely his...
RRS being Rapid Response Squad, for those who are not familiar with these initials.
Rapid Response Squad
in Lagos State.
And I followed him closely. And I can tell you that he was quite exceptional. He was quite effective. He was quite professional in the way he discharged his duties as the commander of RRS. Even though RRS deals with violent crimes, you would expect that RRS would be, resorting to some tough tactics which will involve brutality, to deal with crime. But he was so professional. We didn't hear about any case of abuse of power or use of excessive force. So, and that's why when he was removed as RRS commander, a lot of people, were worried and were, expressing concern that we hope that whoever will replace him will, also be as good as Disu is. So when he was appointed to replace Abba Kyari, a lot of people felt that, oh yeah, that's a good choice to make. With regards to whether he should disband IRT, the call for complaints about the excesses of all these so-called special, units created by the IGP, whether it is SARS that has been funded, whether it is IRT, Intelligence Response Team, whether it is Special Tactical Squad, whether these units act with so much impunity. A lot of, excesses were attributed to them from, they go from one state to another, arrest people, they answer to no other person but the IGP. In fact, police officers in many states, including commissioners of police, were complaining about the excesses because they were beyond their control. And we had cases of people being abducted, detained, tortured, property recovered from them and converted. And so it became terrible. What we saw with IRT that, brought about this whole discussion had been going on. It wasn't just the first time. And I can tell you that a lot of us who knew about what was going on with IRT, I had been, screaming but ignored. We felt vindicated. What happened has also vindicated and sad. But having said that, I do not think that Disu is likely going to succeed if he works with the same team, because what Abba Kyari has been accused of is not alone. The entire team is corrupt and is involved in all the atrocities that Abba Kyari has been accused of. So Disu is likely to not going to succeed if he works with that same team. But we're even arguing that it should go beyond just Disu, selecting a separate team. But we're saying that there's really we need to even interrogate the whole essence of setting up these special squads. Police has
okay. Because that was where I was going to go to next. The full nomenclature of the office, I believe, is the Inspector General's, Intelligence Response Team.
Response Team.
Yes, the Inspector General's, IGP's, Intelligence Response Team. I was going to ask, what do you think, because you work fairly closely with them without being a police officer, this whole business about having these offices, these officers and these formations under the Inspector General of Police's office. What was the import of that? You were just saying that some officers, are concerned that they work on their own, so to speak.
Yeah, we have been of the position that there was no need to create these special units, because the same job they have been created to perform. There are, there are units within the Nigerian police that have been created even under the law. Under the Nigerian police, you have anti-crime units which deals with armed robbery and other violent crimes. You have the homicide, which deals with murder, and also all those kind of things. Even with regards to monitoring, we have the X-Squad, which is a monitoring unit. So what was needed really was to, fund them adequately, equip them, train them, and, give them the standard operating procedure to deal with, So the problem with these other units that are created every now and every IGP comes, he creates his own. They work directly under the IGP and they report only to the IGP. So they are above the law. They don't respect anybody but the IGP. They have been committing a lot of atrocities, and these IGPs have always known what they were doing. As a matter of fact. As a matter of fact.
You're stating that as a matter of fact, because I was going to say, when you use the expression above the law, the Inspector General of Police is, in a sense, the law. So the Inspector General of Police, I would imagine that his responsibility is to ensure that any formation reporting directly to his office operates within the law.
But he didn't do that. That is the point. He never did that.
Okay,
I can tell
I'm going to come back. Okay, 1 second, please. Forgive me for interrupting you. Let me bring on Reverend Dominic, who has since called in. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Yori. How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Good morning to your guests, okay?
Yes. Okay, Nwaguma.
Thank you.
Okay, Nwaguma. Yori, can you hear me?
We can.
Please, Yori, I want to say this before I want to make my comment. Thank you for this great topic. Yori, does 2 wrongs make good? Did you hear me? Does 2 wrongs make good? Let me give you a typical example. The man we call the billionaire kidnapper Evans went to court by his lawyer and itemized all his property that was stolen with this group. I mean, Evans, his lawyer went to court, it's on record, and itemized all the items people stole in his house. But because he was a criminal, he would say, well, he deserved it. He stole from people. This group, Abba Kyari, his company, she also steal from him. The problem of Abba Kyari is not Abba Kyari. The problem of Abba Kyari is Nigerian police, and the problem of Nigerian police is Nigeria psychology in general. How do we promote right? How do we demote wrong? If Nigerian nation begin to know what is right and wrong, all the institutions will work well. Let me say this. Let me debate to say this. It's a decision. Look at the price in Big Brother tax, 90 million. For someone to come and have sex on television, for someone to come and live on television, 90 million. What kind of nation are we building? And this goes on all the institutions of Nigeria. For the next district to succeed, Abba Kyari team must go to trial. All of them are guilty. All of them.
Okay.
So if this inherits Abba Kyari team, it will end up like Abba Kyari team. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. Okay, coming back to you.
Yes.
You made a very contentious statement just there. I was saying that the Inspector General of Police, he symbolizes the law. He's the top cop. He's the #1 cop. And you don't usually think of those kind of people operating outside of the law. And so when you said you stand your ground on that statement, I was a bit concerned.
Yeah, can I explain?
Yes, please.
First of all, I agree with the man who just
Reverend Dominic.
And we have made that call that the Nigerian police must not just disband IRT, but also put all the officers under that operatives under that unit to trial for the various atrocities they have committed.
Allegedly committed.
We know that they did commit them.
Okay.
And I'm saying this because as an activist that works on police reform, we have sent countless numbers of petitions concerning the activities of operatives of this unit. Reports have been written documenting atrocities. There's a report by Amnesty International where they detailed scandalous cases of where people were executed and their properties were, were converted by these operatives. Just like he said, many of the criminal, so-called, alleged suspected criminals and armed robbers who were arrested, their properties were taken and were not tendered in court as exhibit, but they were converted. So all these need to be. And I'm saying perhaps
allegedly. Perhaps allegedly. On the last statement you just made.
Allegedly.
Okay. Let me take Chidi. Chidi has called in from Kafanchan. Good morning, Chidi.
Good morning, Chief Fiori.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, your guest.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Good morning, sir.
This is indeed an interesting discourse that we would like to make our individual inputs which anyone that is necessary should be applied. You see, the truth be said, Uncle Yori, some of these agencies or sub-agencies of the Nigerian police that are being headed by people like DCP Abba Kyari, sometimes they do things in an overzealous manner. They somehow compromise in doing what the Constitution and the rule of law will abide.
Okay.
It is true that the case in point is indeed an alleged one, which he stands innocent until proven otherwise. But this should serve as a deterrent and as a directive to several other heads of operations that are doing things outside the rule of law. I want to believe that if Nigerians holding every office should do things in accordance with the dictates of our law, Nigeria is going to be indeed a better place for all of us. Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chidi, for calling in. Okay, and sorry, when I keep on saying okay, Mr. Okechukwu Nwaguma, but then, because that's a nickname that everybody understands, and we use that when we're not speaking on television. So just to explain that, Mr. Nwaguma, let me go that way so people will know that this is a very serious business.
Yes.
I understand, I have even read, I've heard, I've seen the video reports on social media of alleged atrocities, illegalities carried out by, the suspended Mr. Abba Kyari. But these are allegations. I imagine that they will have to be, investigated thoroughly. But you see, the same Nigerian society that in fact, this very society didn't quite know initially what to do when the report came from the FBI on Mr. Kyari, because he was billed as a top cop. He had been very, very effective. He was honored, House of Reps, everybody. He had won, commendations from the police. So it's all about, from his point of view, being effective and doing the job that he was appointed to do. But I agree that the challenge here is sometimes cutting corners, because if you're going to operate within the ambits of the law, sometimes it can be a problem. But still, there is no excuse for not doing that, and that's where we found ourselves in. So with the new commander of the intelligence response team, I suppose that's something that he's going to have to keep in mind. The police, and not just police, anybody in a uniform in Nigeria, quite frankly, they have a lot of cajoling power. And for them to now remain humble in that power and do things by the law, which oftentimes can be long and circuitous, but still confine yourselves to the law, the temptation is very great, and you probably will be advising Mr. Disu to watch that particular score.
Yes.
Okay, I understand that Ada in Jos has been holding on. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Yori. Good morning to Mr. Okechukwu. Ada from Jos.
Yes, please go ahead.
Let me tell you, this Abba Kyari issue is very worrisome, And your guests have said it all. You see, there are a lot of things they do. I think the IGP, we need a total overhauling of the Nigerian police to tell some of these their excesses. Those investigations they are carrying out should not be just limited to the hush puppy fraud incident. They should also look into the allegations raised by other Nigerians as well, And they should set up a mechanism that will always check them. I wonder whether they used to declare their assets. Because sometimes you see the larger than life they used to live. You begin to wonder how much is their salary. Even the IDP cannot live that kind of a life, So we can help some institutions. Always speaking, if not for the fact that it's America. FBI, they usually carry out their investigation before they start mentioning people's names, which has started maybe a year plus. So they are sure of what they are talking about. So if I were him, let him examine his conscience. If he knows he did those things, let him just own up. It's better for him to own up so the sentence will be less.
He has already denied.
Pardon?
He has already denied any culpability.
That's what I'm saying now, but he has started to some extent of some money remitted to him in terms of making clothes or whatever.
His explanation.
So what I'm trying to say is, when you are a kind of detective, that kind of officer, you're not supposed to be mingling with people of that day. It's just like a lecturer. I'm in the education sector, so I want to use it. Just like a lecturer. Lecturer who's always mingling with students who have problems when there's a leakage of exam question paper. You understand? You have to live above board. You don't keep on dining and whining with them. Let's all give up the because there's so much trust in the police. I agree with your guest. Let them do something about it. From top to bottom. There's too much trust. I'm not telling Mr. Yori. Mr. Yori, I want to say something to you in a lighter way. You know what I noticed? We talk about nepotism, travail, and the rest. Really, that's your small space. You're doing favoritism. Once George and Master Grab a call, to your sense, is there for us? Well, that's in a lighter mood.
No comment. No, thank you very much for calling in, Ada. We've since been joined by Dr. Tony Ofoyetan. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for coming on, Director General Institute of International Institute of Professional Security and Legal Practitioner.
Good morning.
Indeed. Well, great that you could join us. You know, when the whole saga broke and we began to see pictures, Nigerians don't have that kind of a challenge. They will supply you with pictures, historical pictures, archive pictures, and you see the way the now suspended DCP was portrayed. He was dancing among people. My initial thought when I saw those things before the whole matter of his suspension came up was that could he have been working undercover? But then I thought, look, undercover, there will be people who work undercover, but the man is the head of the unit. He's known, he's public, so he couldn't be working undercover. I don't know. But what has happened has happened. So what we're looking at is pitfalls that Mr. Disu is going to have to avoid, and we've been talking about the immense power apparently available to uniformed officers, you know, in Nigeria, and especially the police. Some of those pitfalls what would you say, things that he has to, we've spoken before you arrived about why these special units are actually set up and put under the office of the Inspector General of Police so that they answer only to him. Mr. Nwaguma has made the case that there are units within the force already that are doing everything that the IRT is doing. So what do you think?
Well, let me first of all start by talking about him mingling with quote and unquote yes. People with questionable character. Let me use it that phrase. Yes. Professionally, there is nothing wrong in that. I'm not talking in terms of morality now. When you are deployed to crack certain crime, naturally you must know how that crime operates. You must know the mainstream operators of such crime. And now your argument is to the extent that he needn't be himself. It could be any of his subordinates.
I was just guessing that. No, because I saw the former head of the IRT, as they say, boogieing down at parties.
Now, these are things just
you don't expect that. Now you don't expect that of judges. You don't expect that of policemen.
Well, they are also human beings. Let's leave that. Okay. The issue of boogieing down may be to the extreme, but mingling with them may be for a different intention. It's just like when you see an what do you call it, SARS of those days, yes. Wearing dreadlocks, earrings, and all those things like that. And you know, morally speaking, we think that it is morally bankrupt to do that.
But
if not for the excesses, yes.
We understand
if not for the excesses, yes. There is a particular reason for that.
Yes.
I'll tell you, for example, it is not allowed for you to be in the force and wear bears.
Yes.
You know, but there are certain departments that wear bears.
Yes.
Apart from even the medical aspect of it, that will wear bear and dress normal like any other civilian. You hardly see uniform on them.
Because they're called intelligence.
Yes, very well.
An intelligence
very well. So to that extent, it is neither here nor there, the issue of boogie dance and all those stuff like that. I don't want to hold that against him. But for the fact that he has been indicted by an international investigation agency like FBI, which we have known over the years for its own approach to investigation, is such, yes,
supposed thoroughness.
Yes, what they do at FBI level is that before they invite you for questioning, even in civilized crime, before you are invited for questioning, there must have been a prima facie case against you. And it is upon that prima facie case that, because when their own type of interrogation is such that they put the evidence before you and expect you to deny it. So it's not as if they are expecting comments from you, and they have already gathered their evidence and they are sure that, okay, this evidence are authentic. Now, but they want to be convinced that they are authentic to the extent that there is no better evidence to counter that which they have. And it is upon that that you are now invited. I'm sure that was the premise upon which Abba Kyari was invited. But the question now is, you now have a new head there. Now, having seen what has happened, you know that people that stay in glass houses don't throw stones. Now, you have seen to the extent that, okay, the mingling of Abba Kyari with questionable character has got his fingers burnt now as we speak. The fact that you have money transferred, even if it is 1 naira, even at its level, that is one fundamental mistake. If it is true.
If it is true.
If it is true.
And then there are allegedly phone recordings as well of interactions.
It's a fundamental mistake on his. Even if that money was his own money, once that money is coming from that party, and that party is said to be a questionable character, of course, it would have taken his own person.
So these are the things that the new the new head of IRT is going to have to watch out for. Mazi Okorafo, our sincere apologies for keeping you waiting. Go ahead now, sir.
Good morning, Sayodi. Good morning. I'll get to this.
Good morning.
Sayodi, see, what is happening now in Nigeria is just like a game plan. You know, when Evans raised his own issues last time, nobody is because it was a local issue. Now, all populist corner just come. Now, what we have to be doing is we have to be very careful. In advanced country, when you talk about this, we have SID in all the states under the police. We have CID. We have other security agencies, that investigative panel or investigation department. So this issue IRS, whether the IRS or anything there, to me, it's not necessary and it's not important. Because one, in as much as the international community have already come and said, FBI, that my friend, come and tell us how did this money come to your account. It is the duty of the Nigerian government to say, my brother, come and explain. Now, what we have discovered now with what is going on now is that there is no high brow up that do all these businesses, whether illegal, illegality, that doesn't have a backing in the security agency, which is very, very bad. Now, tell me, a common man will just, a common ordinary player you see now, they will just beat hell out of China. By the time that they drop inside cell, underground cell, and bring you back, say you sold it, whether you have not sold it. But the main actors who are just doing all this, nobody cares about them. Look, we have to be very careful because here in Nigeria, some people at the security agency, they feel that they are very smart on another person's issues. But when you come to their own power, we sweep it under the carpet, which is not healthy. Because their job is to make sure they provide security 2-4 to everybody. But what is happening? Selective high brows. They cover everything, collect their own perspective. Do you know that some people collect allowance every month? Which is everybody, because when you check it out, if you go and say one security agent to carry this, we don't listen to you. But when somebody comes and they know it's a high blood that do all this criminality, they will give you 2-4, which is not healthy. But what I know is that no matter whatever anybody shows in this world, you must repeat. You can't teach nature.
Okay.
So, anything that goes on with where the security agencies, all those people that do all this they have to be very, very careful because you call yourself a saint and you already adulterated your own sainthood. What is it? Because of money, where are you going with the money? Where?
Okay.
Vanity upon vanity. Have a blessed day.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Mazi Okorafo. And we need to remind our viewers that all of these are still allegations, and that's why they are investigations, and then we will hear a final pronouncement. And I think Tony has also used the expression, the innocence is presumed until proven otherwise. We'll take a break now. We'll be right back. We'll continue our conversation with Mr. Okechukwu Nwaguma and Dr. Tony Ofoyetan. And indeed, your very good selves are there at home. Stay with us, please. Okay, welcome back. So we're looking at the replacement of Abba Kyari with Tunji Disu as head of the Inspector General of Police's intelligence response team, and pitfalls Mr. Disu is going to have to look out for. I understand that Ibrahim in Kaduna has been holding on all through the break. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Yori, and good morning to your guests that are just coming aboard and speaking well. I'm so passionate to contribute to this comment this morning.
Okay.
Thank you. You see, Mr. Yori, the issue of this Nigerian attitude towards from any head of affairs of this nation, to me, is not palatable. Why do I say so? Some of our personnel, even within the institution themselves, they are not friendly with each other. And again, the type of Nigerian that we are trying to build, we try to build an individual into the building an institution. This time around now, we need to build an institution. You see, why do I say so? Mr. Abba Kyari has made a name for this institution. And in a nutshell, one way or the other, there were also some elements that policing him. But the way this thing is going, it's really that this man in question, that is involved in this, especially
the issue of alleged of recording some comments, as well as your bank account issue. In fact, to me, I can say I am disappointed. But not at all. Since they say that alleged, you know that some nations as well, they don't want us to grow. Why that is so? Let us, we our own, build our own institution ourselves before they will come in, they will come on board. We know FBI for long. But the way this thing is going, I can say that yes, somehow, somewhere, and some elements are trying to politicize this thing. Why? Nigeria today, we must stand firmly to fight this corruption and find some group of elements of individuals that are not good for us because they have tarnished our image here abroad or like outside. But now, we must start to dig our root. Because Mr. Abba Kyari, as a person, I love all his character. But when the issue of the former chairman of he come on board, I know that yes, they work hand in hand. Since they were able to push this man out, some people, someone else will also follow. Now you can see what happened now to him. Please, Nigerians, let us have the good morale of ourselves and have our dignity because nobody can build this country except us. And we have many nations, and the unity of this country cannot be overemphasized. Thank you very much for hearing my call. Bye.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your call. The other issue, Okechukwu Nwaguma, Executive Director, Rule of Law and Accountability Advocacy Center. The other thing is that this is a delicate matter for the Nigeria Police, the image of the Nigeria Police, because already, I mean, going beyond the appointment of Mr. Tunji Disu, that we understand, so they've not left a vacuum. They've quickly plugged that vacuum. But the delicate aspect I was referring to is already there are those commenting that, they're probably not going to be as rigorous with the investigation because, we will talk. That is the fact. People on social media will talk that things will follow a certain system. What is going to happen is that this investigation will go on. After some time, they will maybe, take it to the court, and that is where it will be bogged down. And in the fullness of time, Nigerians will forget about it, as has happened in other cases of a similar embarrassing kind of a nature. So there's a lot at stake, and the Nigeria Police maybe has to really use the opportunity to show that none of that is in fact true. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And Nigerians have a reason to doubt, the
sincerity of the investigation process.
Yes, because we have the experience of Nigerians is the experience of a Nigerian police that bungles investigations and often sweeps things under the carpet. But this particular case, the Nigerian police is an opportunity to redeem itself. Now, there are a lot of lessons that Nigerian police has to learn. And by the way, if this matter is not properly investigated as they are doing, with a view to arriving at the truth, and if they find that the allegations are true, hand them over to face prosecution, it will create a problem, a diplomatic problem between, particularly issues of trust between the FBI and the Nigerian police when it comes to issues of white-collar crimes, such as the one under question. So the Nigerian police must ensure that they do not toy with this case, because Indeed. It's going to further impact on their reputation and their integrity and ability for both Nigerians and the international community to trust the Nigerian police as a force that is committed to doing the right thing, to fighting crime and ensuring that due process and rule of law prevails.
Indeed.
And if you look at the way FBI handled this investigation, nobody was paraded before the media to come and make confessions. They took time to do their thorough investigation.
Indeed. As we know, the FBI always does. Let me bring in, I beg your pardon, let me bring on Pastor Elijah in Ikorodu. Good morning, Pastor.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Dr. Tony and Okechukwu Nwaguma.
Okay.
Good morning.
Let me quickly put this straight to Nigerians this morning, that our problem lies in our own hands. Disu has done a very fantastic job in Lagos in RRS, and he has a track record to do greater exploits at the national level. But my problem with Nigerian is this. How could a police, a system, appoint a man into a particular office and nobody is auditing them at the end of their service, or a process by which they could be monitored while they are still in that service so that their excesses will be corrected? So the problem now lies on the people that assign them with that portfolio. There should be a system that we investigate them. And like the issue of Abba Kyari, whether he's guilty or not, I care less about it. But my point this morning to you is this. Why can't the government set up a committee that is not part of the police system that will be fair in terms of investigating any corrupt allegations leveled against any officers, be it police, be it in the ministry, be it in Nigeria Army, so that we would be able to see clearly that whatever allegation that is being leveled against such an officer is against us. And once the right thing is being done, it will check whoever that is coming behind them that whatever wrong they do, they are going to face the consequence and they will dance to that. That is, Abba Kyari should be handed over to FBI if they will allow the needful to be done, so that they will not continue to shame us in the international community.
Okay, Pastor.
Thank you and God bless you this morning.
Thank you very much for calling in. Tony, would you like to weigh in on this particular aspect?
Well, I think my own is basically there are many angles to it. Whether we would have a defective diplomatic relationship if we do not hand over Abba Kyari is one argument. The next argument is whether what has happened has impeded on the supposed integrity of the police, and to what extent can it be laundered or corrected subsequently. I think I agree to the extent that the police have to look inward, do regular self-audit of its personnel. But as a person, I don't actually fall within the category of Nigerians that will say hand over Abba Kyari to the Americans. And the reason is simple. You know, if you want equity, you do equity. I'm not aware of the magnitude of the offense that America will commit, and that Nigerian will ask that American be extradited back to Nigeria for prosecution. And the reason is because as at today, I'm not aware of any extradition treaty between Nigeria and America, to the extent that there's an extradition treaty between Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, and America. And that was why Hush Puppy was taken from there down to America. But for Abba Kyari, the question is, was Abba Kyari actually involved directly in swindling the American, or he just benefited from the proceeds from Hush Puppy? I hope you understand what I'm saying now. Now, if he benefited, Hush Puppy is a Nigerian. Abba Kyari is a Nigerian. The said offense that is committed was committed in Nigeria, to the best of what I have read so far. You know, yes, of course, they are recording that he went to Dubai and all those stuff like that. You know, now having looked at it from all this angle, yes, people would have different opinion, different view, and all those stuff like that. But my own is that there have been scandals that involve Americans and the like. You know, I think I'm trying to remember now. One of the senators was involved and the like. There was no extradition and all those stuff like that. Americans will tell you that no American anywhere in the world will answer to any judge apart from in America. Okay. You know, so I
think you were referring there to maybe Senator, the late Senator Kashamo.
So yes, you know, so as far as I'm concerned, it's a game of a lot of diplomatic thing. But I think government should just be careful about it. Look at all the legal angles.
Mr. Yakub in Dokwemo, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good, sir.
Thank you for calling.
And then good morning to Mr. Ofoyetan.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, usually it is unfortunate that DCP Abba Kyari find himself in this kind of situation. He's someone that I personally respect so much because of the kind of high level of job that he has been doing in this country. But to me, he still remains innocent until he pronouncing guilty. I totally share the same opinion with your guest, Mr. Ofoyetan. I don't know, maybe we are in the third country. I've never seen a situation where the Nigerian government will write to American government that someone commit a crime in their country and then he looted Nigeria or something, they should be extradited to Nigerian back. They will tell you that they can't leave that person. Why is it that if especially the whole Africa, America will tell you that you have to bring that person to come and face the law in their country. But if in case the other way around, they will say no. But another thing, very quickly, is this: if we don't allow them to extradite DCP Abba Kyari to that place, can justice be done in this country? That is the question. If it is truly that he caught in this kind of mess, I call it a mess because he's somebody that I respect so much, but he still remain innocent, as I said earlier. My question is that can justice be done in this country? That is the question. Thank you and good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for calling in. Mr. Yakub there called it a mess, and it is indeed embarrassing that the Nigeria police, that any person, any single individual, if just one is enough to tarnish the reputation of the Nigeria police, that such a high-ranking member of the Nigeria police is now being accused of the kind of things that we are hearing. And in relation to the crime being committed in Nigeria, I believe that there were aspects to the fraud that were carried out on the territory of the U.S. Because it's, all these alleged advance fee frauds and getting money by deceptive means and all of that. So I don't know the detail, but I imagine that the FBI knew that it was well within its rights to have made this request of Nigeria. But coming back to you again. I beg your pardon. Yeah, I'm clear. I don't have anybody on the phone. This embarrassment, really, that is what it is to every Nigerian. This is not an embarrassment to the Nigeria police alone. It embarrasses all Nigerians that, we are in this situation, and that's why I want us to emphasize. I want to concentrate on, Mr. Tunji Disu, because let's face it, Abba Kyari is yesterday. Tunji Disu is today, and going forward. So though it's like if we're to set an agenda for him, he has. We don't know, but we're assuming that they've not disbanded the intelligence response team, and that Mr. Disu has now headed that up. I think you've already commented on what you think about that particular move, but I don't know. Can Mr. Disu select his own team, or will a team be selected for him? I don't know how it works.
Well, I think it is the Inspector General of Police that set up these different teams that are called tactical, teams, like the STS, IRT, So the Inspector General probably selects everybody there. Yeah, I think, I know the IGP says it up, but the details about who chooses the operatives is a different ballgame. But for us, whoever it is that's responsible for putting the team together, or whoever has the authority to set up or disband, needs to do that, because Disu will not succeed with this same team that is tainted, and that is the point. And I think that we should not lose sight of the gravity of this alleged offense and the impact it has on our, reputation as a country.
Yeah.
Okay. The whole argument
let me take Bishop calling in from Plateau, I believe. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Good morning. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Yori, and good morning to your guest.
Yes, thank you.
Anisha Kawai, I'm calling from Jos.
Okay, please go ahead.
I don't want us to preempt the investigation of the Nigerian police over Abba Kyari's culpability. So, however, I know FBI are different. They do their homework very well. They must have investigated well and know that Abba Kyari has a case to answer before seeking for the extradition. However, let's wait for the report of the police not to preempt his case. But if he has a case to answer, I think he should be truly prosecuted for being involved with fraudsters. That is on that one. I think from what we're hearing, I think before Disu fully take over, I think the investigation should be extended to members of that team, so that they should investigate fully their excesses and the property they must have acquired through illegal means. I think that will serve as deterrent. If that is not done, I think Disu will also, Disu working with that same team from where we're getting from different quarters, Disu working with that team will definitely not succeed. So I want to appeal to the Nigerian police to fully investigate the excesses
of the team.
That team. And secondly, there should be internal mechanism to check the excesses of that team. Because if they report directly to the IT, there should be a mechanism that would monitor their activities, especially on human rights abuses and illegally.
I think we got your drift. Maybe the line dropped, but we got his drift. Quite frankly, the things that people are suggesting, I would be surprised if the Nigeria police didn't have these mechanisms already. I mean, it's an organization, it wasn't set up yesterday. They're not bumbling fools in there. A lot of what we are saying now would already be known to the authorities of the police and indeed the Police Service Commission. But it bears re-emphasizing that, look, we are surprised that this happened because this whole matter about accountability, I don't know if anybody has audited his assets yet or that kind of a thing. But this is the kind of thing that you would imagine police would have their eye on already before we come and make public commentary on it.
It's, mine is more of an expanded one because now it is IRT tomorrow. It was SARS.
It was SARS yesterday. It's IRT
now. It could be another agency within the police formation tomorrow. So these are signs and symptoms to tell you that there's high level of defect in the agency.
Yes.
And what we expect is good enough. I think police has been able to show that they have internal mechanism to also execute justice even within themselves. So if that is the case, let the IG put machinery in motion, identify all the tactical teams and tactical forces under it at even national and state level. Who are those that are those M of affair? Do a proper audit of them, even their facility audit and even the asset audit of the personnel. Now, those that you think you need to redeploy them.
Go ahead and do that.
But for this, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think he will be comfortable working with the team on ground, except they are imposed on him. I would advise that he should suggest his own team he can conveniently work with to achieve his desired result.
Let me quickly take Mr. Aliyu, I believe. Mr. Aliyu in Kaduna. Good morning, sir. You're the last caller. Quickly, please.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling.
Yes, sir. I am Abubakar Aliyu from Kaduna. You see, what I wanted to comment is that, you see, we, the third world, or the black race people, it's like we are undervaluing ourselves. I am not talking of particularly Abba Kyari. It can be anybody. But to me, it is not the crime I'm after, but it is the dignity of the independence of any country. Because there is a world treaty. If your citizen commit a crime in any country and he is in your own country, you are the owner of that citizen, and you have all the machineries to investigate and prosecute that person if he is guilty. But for us here, we are even happy, eager. Some black people, that is Nigerians, are even eager to extradite this our person to the black to America, just because they have white color. Because now we are underrating our country. In Africa as a whole, if we do this one, it will go as a record that we don't even have sense. Because no country, I repeat, no country will now ask America to extradite their citizens to any African country to face judgment. I don't think if it can happen. Even if the world will fall or crush, America will never agree. Why will the black be happy to extradite their own? in their own country just because of allegations.
Okay, Mr. Aliu, thank you very much for. In fact, we've run out of time. You were our last caller there, Mr. Aliu in Kaduna. Thank you very much for calling in. Same goes to all the other people who had called in. And well, Mr. Okechukwu Nwaguma also, thank you very much for being with us on the program today. Thank you very much also for your insights. And thank you. Dr. Tony Ofoyetan, I want to thank you as well for putting perspective on all these things for us. So that's our program today. It's a conversation that we couldn't hope to fit into a 1-hour program, but as it happens, as it unfolds, we'll always be covering it. So, please do have a great weekend. See you tomorrow, God willing. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.